Good evening, Michael. This is Ryan with TrendLizard.com. I hope you're doing fantastic. I hope your week is going well. I got your email. I'm going to take a look at a few stocks for you per your request. We're going to take a look at Bud, which is Anheuser-Busch, Budweiser basically. BUD is the ticker there. We're going to take a look at Spin Master, which is TOY.TO, trading on the Toronto Exchange. And then we're going to take a look at Brown-Forman, BF/B for the B shares in that order. Take a look at those three. I haven't taken a look at any of these ever before today, so this is new for me. There's some tricks involved, things that certainly need to be considered from many different angles, but let's go get to work and see what we can figure out. So we're going to start with BUD here, Anheuser-Busch. Incepted back in 2009. Had a very nice uptrend basically from 30 to 120. Hard to label this move exactly, but it looks like a trendy move considering it quadrupled in value. There are some tricky parts to make this work. For example, this fifth wave of wave 3 here has to be an ending diagonal, and then wave 5 itself has to be an ending diagonal to make it work. Not something I'm terribly concerned about. The other aspect of that is it looks like it is probably a trendy 5-wave move, kind of on the black time frame, and we're just not seeing it all. Because it was incepted in 2009, doesn't mean that is where a brand new, fresh Elliott Wave trendy move begins, right? That just kind of drops in on somewhere in its natural progression. This is what it appears like to me, and honestly, it's more or less a moot point because obviously something changed off that 2016 high, and it's turned south very substantially off of that low into the 2020 low, and basically retraced everything it had gained over the course of the last 11 years. So that was a substantial resetting type pullback. So we need to take a look at this action and to see what we think it might be, and if this sets a new downtrend or if it's just a large counter trend move with a new uptrend starting from there. So let's take a couple swings at it here. One possibility that I see is that this is a counter trend move, ABC for wave A, and then the larger B, and then the larger C wave ending in 2020. If this is the case, that would suggest then that the uptrend has resumed from here. Let's take another crack at it and see another way to label this down move here, and that would be that the entire decline is a massive leading diagonal type pattern, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The biggest problem I had looking at this initially was how big wave 4 was. It just retraced more than 61.8% of this third wave down briefly and turned back down. So I think that's not a problem for us. This also fits. We can't really just present one to you and act like the other one is impossible, because that's just not the truth. So we're going to take a look basically at what is happening off this 2020 low to see if we can determine which scenario is more likely. So obviously, if a low is in, if this massive pullback down into the 2020 low is over and the uptrend has resumed, the only way it can really do that is if this move off the 2020 low is a trendy move to the upside. So let's go ahead and zoom in on this action here. So generally speaking, off the 2020 low, we obviously have an up move, and then we have a down move. That's basically what's happened since then. Now, to be quite frank about it, neither one of these moves are hyper clear. We can't say with any absolute confidence, oh, this is clearly a trendy move, this is clearly a counter trend move. We can't. Either one could honestly be labeled either way because it's simply not that clear. So once again, we have to take a crack at the best ways to label this move. If we wanted to label this as a trendy move, the only way I can find to do it is shown here. And basically, it has a leading diagonal for wave 1 within a larger leading diagonal for the entire move. After you've completed this move here, we have this larger pullback. It moved into this yellow support area. You're going to see these all across our charts, and I'm sure you have before. But just a quick explanation, this yellow area represents a Fibonacci retracement of this up leg here. And the thinking is, if a new trend is started, rarely will this new trendy up move be retraced by more than a Fibonacci portion of this up leg. So basically, the top end of the yellow area is a 38.2% retracement, and the bottom area is a 61.8% retracement. Obviously, that includes a 50% retracement, and that zone there represents the most common Fibonacci retracements of any up leg. So back to the point here, if this is the start of a new trend, we probably shouldn't see this thing be retraced by more than about 49. If it moves below 49, then you have a problem. It looks like this is a counter trend move, which it very easily could be, because you can't exactly be 100% sold on the possibility that we have this like nested, leading diagonal to the upside here. So bottom line, if it moves much below that level, I think you have to think it's a counter trend move. So that makes it a tough sell for me. This isn't something that I'm rushing out to buy because it is such a tough sell, or at least it's just not super clear on multiple timeframes what we're looking for. If you do own it, you can own it against that level there, maybe say 48, 40, 47.50 to give yourself a little bit of a buffer. If you don't own it, I wouldn't touch it until it moves above 68.50. If it can move above 68.50, then you have something to work with. You have this up move, then you have whatever this is would have to be a counter trend down move. So regardless of how you label this, if we get a counter trend down move that lasts this long, it should lead to another strong trendy up move from there. So that would be a tradable proposition. But I think until you see that, it's going to be a tough one to sell. Now, even if we step out, and I just want to make one more point here, if we step out here and still call this a large leading diagonal for wave A, and then you get this ambiguous up leg that we're talking about, even if this is playing out, this big pullback here, if it proves to be a counter trend move, it would still make sense for us to get a larger C wave up if this is a counter trend move. So I guess the point is, regardless of how you want to label things on the larger time frames, if this move here proves to be a counter trend move, then you're in business. You can trade it. You should get another trendy 5-wave move to the upside here. And if it was a comparable sized move, it would point up to kind of 95, 100 area. If it was comparable to the size of wave A, if the C wave is here. So to me, it's tradable if it gets above 68.50 for that reason, and we'll kind of see where it goes from there. But until it does that, there's a lot of ambiguity on this chart, and it makes it difficult to be excessively confident either way. So there is BUD. Let's move on now to Spin Master TOY.TO. And this one's interesting. It was incepted back in 2015, had a very nice run to the upside into the 2018 high. From there, it tanked into the 2020 low like so many things did, stabilized like so many things did, and has turned higher from there. So the things that we can take away from this larger time frame, most importantly, in my view, is the 3-wave look of this down move. We know that 3-wave, aka ABC moves, are counter trend moves. So if we're getting counter trend moves to the downside, seems like a pretty good indication that the trend is up. Now, say that I'm wrong and this wasn't an obvious ABC down move, and even though it is, look at that yellow retracement area. If we were getting an initial down leg, a counter trend recovery, and another down leg, we would expect the counter trend recovery to find a high somewhere in this yellow area. It is not. It is continued above that area. It's consolidated once it moved above it. Nevertheless, all these things are turning up bullish. Again, a counter trend down move, a move above the Fibonacci retracement area, and then this action here looks bullish as well, and I'll show you why. Let's go ahead and zoom in. Here is a look at that action off the 2020 low. Very clean 5-wave move for wave 1. Very clear counter trend move for wave 2. This move's pretty funky for wave 3, but I think it still works. And then you have this choppy sideways action that's lasted for what? I don't know, about a year or so. Pretty difficult to say exactly what's going on, but it certainly looks like a counter trend move, and it certainly looks bullish overall, as if it should head higher. Now that is going to be the case as long as it's trading above 36. It's not super close, but on a larger time frame, that's the most important level on the charts, because a move below that kind of wrecks the whole deal, makes this look like something less than the trendy pattern that it appears to be at this point in time. So 36 is an important level. So if we just zoom in now and take a look just at this action that we're seeing, the more strength that we're seeing currently, we see the potential that this is the start of something bigger to the upside. You see this nice trendy 5-wave leg for wave 1, a counter trend ABC pullback that just barely peaked below the yellow support area, the Fibonacci support area, and then price has shot off to the upside again. So there's a very real possibility that this is marking the start of a 5th wave up to the upside, which is a bullish thing, obviously something that is very tradable. If this is in fact the start of wave 5 up, Spin Master will stay above 45.25 at all times. If at any point it moves below that level, it's going to mean this choppy action is not over. It brings 36 back into play. I wouldn't really want to own it on any shorter time frames if it moved below 45.25. As long as it stays above that level, again, the potential is there that this is wave 5 up to new highs. Let's go ahead and zoom back out and show you potential targets here. So if we look at the move off of the 2020 low, wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4. If we look at the trendy moves to the upside, wave 1 lasted about 20 points. Wave 3 lasted about 25 points. So if you put together, say, a 20-point or so advance off of the recent low for wave 5, that's going to put you right back at the high. Now, these often provide resistance, for no other reason than that's where the previous high was. Obviously, something bumped its head right here, so that's a possibility. Basically, what you would be looking for, first, second, third, fourth, fifth wave up, maybe one that tests this high, flirts with the high. At that point, you have a completed 5-wave move to the upside. Then you're going to be looking for a larger correction of this entire up move. But for now, the potential is certainly there for growth as we get a 5th wave up to complete this larger advance off of the 2020 low. All right, number 3, let's go ahead and take a look at Brown-Forman, BF/B. So Brown-Forman Corporation, Class B. This one has a little bit more of a track record, as you can see. It was incepted at the beginning of 1992 and has been in a massive uptrend over that period of time. It's had some bumps along the way, and I've basically just sectioned off those bumps and called them the larger degree pullbacks. Wave 1, wave 2 on a larger time frame. And then I have a first, a second, a third, and a fourth within that larger third wave. And then what we've seen more recently fitting as a larger degree fourth wave. This action here is a little bit funky, but let's go ahead and zoom in. And I think it still fits. You had this down move here, a move that did move to new highs, but overall it looks to me like an ABC pullback. And then you have a move to a 5th wave high from there. So if we step back out, again, that would put us in a larger 4th wave pullback, basically to offset this 1st and 2nd wave. So the idea would be you get that larger degree 4th wave correction, and then the trend turns back up as you get a large 5th wave advance, which should be a large, very much tradable move. So let's go ahead and zoom back in. Here's the pullback that we've been in currently. This has been an absolute chop fest. Very difficult to label, obviously. No way you can be super confident in how to label it without just making a guess. Let's zoom in a little bit further. Basically, the only way it could be over is if we label it as an ABC X ABC, so like a double correction, right? ABC X ABC. Generally, when we do this, it's just because we don't have any real clear way to call this move over. Generally, when you're in a larger counter trend move, you get a nice ending, down move to complete this, like, basically 2-year, I guess year and a half type pullback. We don't have that here. We have this kind of choppy, funky move that did move to a new low. It's decently sharp. It's not a clear ending pattern. It's very hard to say with any great confidence with a pattern like this that it's over. So let's look at a couple ways that we can label this action off of May's low here. So the idea basically is the only way we're going to be confident that this move is over is if we can get a pattern off of the low for the pullback that looks like it's the start of a trendy move. So there's a couple ways we could label this move. Honestly, it's hard to like either one of them. You have a pretty nice start to the advance off of May's low. Looks like could be a first wave. Then you have this pullback, could be a second wave. Third wave up, everything's going great, and then things turn funky from late June, where you get this choppy action to the side here. Maybe it's a leading diagonal. It would have to be if this is a 4th wave, because you already have overlap with wave 1's high. If it moves below 67.50 at any point, this labeling doesn't work, and so basically that would kill this possibility. Let's try to label it a different way. That would be okay. Wave 1, wave 2, and then we're getting a nested like 1st and 2nd wave within a larger 3rd wave. Possible, but once again, a move below 67.50 wrecks this possibility. In fact, if we get a move below 67.50, there's just simply no good way to call this a trendy move. I mean, we have a pretty clear 3-wave move to the upside here. So if there's any substantial breakdown, it's going to look like a counter trend move. And if we step back out, that's just going to mean that it's still in this massive counter trend pattern to the downside and is not tradable. So if you own this guy, I would use 67.50 as a stop. If it moves below there, I would get out of the way because it's going to indicate a larger counter trend move, probably something that moves back to May's low before price is ready to head higher. And again, this fits as a larger degree pullback, so it's hard to say exactly when it's going to end until we get something clear that makes it makes it obvious that this is over. And that's either a sharp ending pattern to the downside that looks like a 5-wave move, or some trendy upside action that becomes more tradable from there. So this is certainly one that I can take a look at for you down the road as things progress. Right now, until we see any clear trendy upside action, it's hard to love it. If it stays above 67.50, then it's tradable, or at least you can own it. I certainly wouldn't start any positions until you see trendy upside action, and then you can play it from there. So, Michael, I hope that's helpful. I know there's a lot of words. These were very difficult to analyze. Had to look at them from a number of different ways, but that's what we do. And as a result of that, you can come up with levels like 67.50 here on Brown-Forman to say if it moves below there, basically we can be confident that this entire counter trend move is not over, and that's pretty valuable information. But hopefully that's helpful. Let me know if you have any questions. For anybody else, come visit us at TrendLizard.com. We use this stuff every day. The Elliott Wave Theory works. Have a great week, y'all. Talk to you soon.